number one thing you think it takes to thrive and do really well in this industry?
So I would say that the number one thing is perseverance, patience, and you have to be willing to listen. So,
Oh, listen
custom
to who?
to the client's needs, the adjuster's needs, your people's needs, everybody. There's a whole lot of listening in our industry, and you have to see what the pain points are, and then you have to work on those. So we can come in as experts, but not all the time. Do those people need an expert?
Yeah.
They want somebody that's gonna, take care of them, listen to their needs, and get it done in a timely fashion. And their priorities and our priorities aren't always the same. So
That's right.
that's something that's definitely I've learned over the years to stop and listen and then react.
That's smart. Okay. All right. So first question, what is the number one thing you think it takes to thrive in the industry? You've sat in many seats in the industry as well and worked for different companies. So what does it take?
So you told me this question about 60 seconds ago.
Yeah.
And I've actually had my first thought was integrity, but then I went from that because I just think you have to have that.
Yep.
That is foundational in life,
Yes.
Period, across any industry. Trust and integrity is just absolutely number one.
Yep.
So, but beyond that, in this industry specifically, you've got to have a good level of flexibility. And we are a very reactive industry.
Yep.
If you're someone who likes to plan your life,
this is not for you.
It's very difficult to be in this industry. Type A personalities, I don't know that. Hey, Russ.
Thanks, Russ.
I don't know that there are certain roles in this industry, certainly, to help keep those who can handle the chaos on track. However, because we react to unknowns, you have to be someone who's okay with that. You have to be someone who can be solution minded on the fly, who doesn't go into a panic when something doesn't go the way that it should. So I think just a personality that can really roll with how life unfolds is really important. So that would be my answer.
That is a great answer. So tell me the number one thing you think it takes to thrive in the industry. And you're newer here, so you probably have a unique perspective as you've been watching everybody. What does it take?
Right. And I think the perspective I have is that your pieces and parts are all working well together.
Yes.
Right. There's good communication. And so what I mean by that is internal and external. So whoever you're working with, you're communicating well. You've got good insight into what's actually going on. If it's internal, you're closing the loop. If it's external, having the right stuff to go all the way full circle again of what goes on there. So
perfect. Good answer. So the first question is, what is the number one thing you think it takes to really thrive in this industry? And I'm using this as the first question because I feel like this has been a little bit of an iffy year for some people. Some people have had a good year. Some people have had kind of it's been an interesting year for companies. So what do you think is the number one thing it takes to thrive from your seat?
Well, my basic reaction is guts.
Yep.
Okay. But what I really mean is having the determination and the fortitude and to persevere. Okay. Because this business throws a lot at us.
It does.
It challenges us and it's ever changing. And so about the time that you think things are stable, boom, something hits you. And so it's really a compliment to these guys that do this every day because it is tough at times and it's very rewarding. So, but guts and testosterone, whether you're male or female, it's good.
Yes.
Bring it.
Yes. Perfect. Okay. What do you think is the number one thing it takes to thrive in restoration?
So I'm going to connect it to the last thing we just said.
Yeah.
I think it's your people.
Yeah.
And like what I have noticed about very successful restoration companies and ones that maybe struggle is ones that struggle to keep good people.
Yes.
And if your culture drives out good people, you will never be successful. And so if that's happening, you have to look at yourself. If you're the general manager or the owner, somewhere in the leadership, because that culture comes from the head down.
It does.
And so, and look in the mirror and go, how can I, how can I do this differently?
Yeah.
And one way you can do that too is to create a survey culture where you get anonymous survey that you actually information that you would then action on. Let your employees tell you in a safe space what you need to do better and be open to listening to it. And
and actually take action
and actually do something about it and tell them what you're doing.
Frustrating than doing a survey
and then nobody.
Yes, and people are honest, and then nothing happens.
Nothing happens.
It's like never mind that.
That can't happen.
No,
that's
that cannot happen.
Right. You only get one shot with that.
That is so true.
Yeah.
All right. So what is the number one thing you think it takes to thrive in restoration?
Well, I think it's two things. I think culture is a huge one,
Yep.
but also it's reputation.
Yeah.
So I think reputation's huge. You have to be the brand that you put yourself out there to be and whatnot, and stay true to it, and just consistently deliver on those things that you want. But then again, culture and making sure that the people who you're with and who are working with you and whatnot, they share in the same vision and they share in the same work ethics and whatnot. So.
Yes. I love it. Good answer. So far, everyone's had a different answer. So it's going to make a really fun montage of like all these great.
I mean, there's a
great
lot of
tips.
things, but I mean, like I said, I think those are my two. I think those are huge.
I've been because every single answer has been good, and so I've been surprised at the differences in all of them.
Very easy.
Question 1: what is the number one thing you'd think it takes to thrive in this industry?
Oh man, to pick one is really hard.
It is really hard.
It's either relationships or documentation. I know that's two, but
And those
like
are very different. Those are very different angles that you're taking that from.
yeah. So I guess just from being in restoration for 17 years and building my own companies, like it's all about who you know and the connections and what you have. But then it's again to get that, you got to have, I feel like, the documentation to back it up, because then it makes it easier to work with. So then people want to work with you more. So sorry, that's two.
But it's both sides of the coin. You're right. One's
Yeah.
the job side and one's the relationship business building side. And you have to have both, and they have to work together.
Yeah. And if you're consistent, then those relationships will stay and maintain. And so I would say that's the most important. Yeah.
That makes good sense.
There you go.
So the first question is, what do you think is the number one thing it takes to thrive in this industry?
So I would say that the industry is moving so fast that your ability to hold, let's call it, to know what to hold tightly onto and what to hold loosely onto, I think is very important. So some things that I think a person might consider their secret sauce may in fact be kind of commonplace right now. Similarly, I also find that your ability to be able to move very quickly and adapt is very important. So here's what I think. I think that a company who's willing to be able to actually open up their playbook, share what seems to be working with someone that you might perceive to be a competitor, is actually a good thing to do.
Yes.
And now I think that there are some, we like to use at Know-How kind of that Verne Harnish scaling up model, and there is kind of that catalytic, internal combustion component of what you do. I think there's a component of kind of holding on to some of your secret sauce. But when I look at some of the companies that seem to be just really thriving, they seem to be very public and very generous about how they do what they do.
Yeah.
And it not only does it help, I would say, create an aura of respect from their peers, I think it attracts a lot of top staff. And also, I think it really allows them to really establish themselves as an influential brand in the industry. And naturally, it attracts all types of opportunities. So what I see is, in a fast-moving industry, be willing to actually share what's working to a level, to an extent that maybe 10 years ago, people thought that actually you can't share that. You got to keep that locked down.
Yeah.
So that's what I see.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like it. Question number 1. What is the number one thing you think it takes to thrive in restoration?
Resilience.
Yes.
That is one thing that I really, truly believe in restoration you must have, because so many different things get thrown at you. I'm sure restorers know exactly what I'm talking about, but even as vendors, we're constantly being thrown things that are changing. The industry is constantly changing, and you have to be able to change with it. You have to be able to take what's coming, take that change, reform it, and then get back out there and do what needs to be done.
Yes. Yes. I love it. Okay. And what do you think is the number one thing it takes to thrive in the industry?
Oh boy. Education, training.
Duh. Good education.
Yes. Good education, certifications, becoming a certified firm, all of those things. Like, just it's important for everybody to be on the same page, doing the same things, making sure that you're doing the right job profitably. So yes, education.
Okay. All right. So what do you think is the number one thing it takes to thrive in the industry?
Well, definitely going to go with continuous training. So, it's easy to get training, and there's lots of different avenues for it, especially, at these different events that we're at. But just continuing that training and making sure you're not picking up bad habits along the way. And, profitable morning meetings with REITs TV works pretty well for that.
Good job. Good job. I would cheer you for that if I had a cocktail. Cheer you with a microphone. All right. So what do you think is the number one thing it takes to thrive in the industry?
So what I found, the number one thing it takes to thrive is to make sure to take care of your people.
Yeah.
Whether it's money, whether it's advancement for them, whether it's taking care of them and knowing who all of them are and about all of them. You can do great work. You can do great things. You can have great systems and processes, but if you don't take care of your people, you're not going to thrive in this industry.
That's right. Yep. Yeah. First question is, what is the number one thing you think it takes to thrive in the restoration industry?
Well, the number one thing, there are several things, but the number one thing you have to be is probably agile. You got to be able to roll with the punches because you're going to be up and down and up and down.
Yep.
And
you are.
And you have to be ready for those moments. Don't, if you have early success, make sure that you don't get too crazy. Because in this business, the highs are high and the lows are low.
Yeah.
And probably just, resilience. Don't take no for an answer. Make sure we're always doing things right. If you do the right things happen. And so just, probably resiliency is probably the biggest thing.
Yep.
Because you can't let things get to you. You're going to win one day and you're going to lose another day. And so you have to always be ready.
Always be ready.
Always be ready.
Yes.